And welcome to the vlog. Sorry for no upload last night, but my girlfriend and I and a couple of friends decided to take like a crazy last-minute trip to New York City. And I don't usually do that kind of thing. I'm not that spontaneous. I kind of like to stay at home. I like where I live. I like my cars, and I usually, you know, hang around my area. I stick to my roots. Roots is in like the places where I drive, not like roots is in like, oh, this is where I grew up. The point is, we did go to the big city, and I wanted to have a little fun. Normally, I would take the truck and just, you know, put all the luggage in there and be fine with it. But I felt like I should take the McLaren because most people would not take their McLaren to New York City. And I felt, what better a way to really experience a car than drive it in all different locations. By the way, you can see the C5 is finally back at home. So we got Duramax, C5, McLaren, C7. The only one missing is the Volkswagen. But yes, I decided that I would take the McLaren. We left at about 1 o'clock in the morning. First sort of road trip in the McLaren, doing very well so far. This car is great to drive on a trip. As you can see, I now have almost 500 miles on it. Cool part is, I also brought my Corvette. We have officially crossed 500 miles in the McDonald's. New York is a totally crazy thing and a foreign thing when you're from a relatively small town in Pennsylvania. Just the fact that when you roll up at any time, could be 1 a.m., midnight, noon, 5 p.m., doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what time you're out and about in New York City, there's gonna be a million people walking around. Look at all the lights. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. No reason for anyone to be awake, and yet people walk in the streets. Look at that. You would see somebody walk in the streets where we live, and you would assume that they're a drug addict, cracked out. But here it's like, oh, normal. We got to the hotel. And unlike the Marriott, where if you saw the video I uploaded a while ago when I took the Duramax to New York City, the Marriott has parking underneath the hotel, and the valet was very nice. They said, you know, your truck is not going to fit in the garage. You can just park under here. So my redneck truck was allowed to be parked next to a bunch of really nice Mercedes, a Bentley, and some other cars that were down there because it wouldn't fit in the garage. So I was very happy with the treatment there. And this time I was bringing not only my McLaren, but my Z06. So I was hoping for good parking. That hotel didn't have any parking like that, so I had to go to a garage. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very, very backed up about this garage. I mean, this is a random place. I don't know anybody. It's not run by the hotel, so I have no real connection to them. So I'm just having to trust two random guys with my brand new supercar and my, you know, pretty nice Corvette. Here's the best part. The two guys working at the garage were very nice, extremely nice. They cleared out 2 parking spaces for me so I could park my cars next to one another. They blocked it off with cones. And of course, yes, I did tip them very well. Got some good parking, both cars together here in the garage. Looking good. And I think we'll be safe here. Oh look, and all right. So the trip went over really well. Nothing bad happened to the McLaren. No issues on the road whatsoever, no cars. I mean, the traffic is actually kind of nice to leave at that time because there was no traffic. We were able to cruise at, you know, 85 to 90, 55 miles an hour the whole time. And we did make great time. Got from Hershey, Pennsylvania to New York City in about 2 hours, and just a little over 2 hours. We did finally get to the hotel, and the room was really nice. Well, this is a nice bathroom. Not as nice as the McLaren dealership bathroom, but not bad. The only bad thing about the hotel is that there was a lot of construction going on right outside our room. And we stayed at the Algonquin. We were originally going to stay at the Marriott Grand Marquis, where we usually stay. I love that place. You can get a room that overlooks Times Square. It's fucking awesome. But they didn't have any rooms available. It is kind of a busy season for hotels in New York. And the construction going on outside. Now, of course, this is not the hotel's fault whatsoever, but we made the reservation on Saturday at about midnight. Like, I literally called an hour before we left. And by that time, they were aware of the construction. There was no mention of it, and they only had one suite available. Now, we didn't get the suite because, like, oh, I need to be fancy. I'm not that type of guy. I got the suite because we had friends with us, and they could sleep on the pull-out couch. So the only suite they had available was one that was, guess what? Directly above the construction, literally directly above on the second floor, and there was no mention of that. Ultimately, the hotel did take $150 off our bill, but the reason why I mention it is because I felt like they should have compensated us more, and not because of me, but because of the other people. The manager that we spoke with at the front desk was very nice, and she said, yes, you know, a long list of people are going to get refunds and everything like that, so was very happy. And then the next morning, we spoke to someone else, and she was, I guess, the bigger kind of manager of the whole building. And I thought about telling them about YouTube, not because like I'm special and I have like a big channel. I'm not fucking Casey Neistat. Nobody cares about my car channel. But just because, hey, you know, if a couple 100,000 people see this, maybe you would make it right or make more of an effort. For us, it was just a last minute little vacation. Who cares? You know, a one night thing. But if you brought the family and you had your kids and you couldn't sleep after a trip and the kids couldn't sleep, that would be terrible. So I was more or less upset thinking about how someone else's experience could have been really bad. My main goal when going to the city, when going on this trip, was to get one really cool picture of the McLaren in Times Square, and I wanted it at nighttime. If you don't follow me on Instagram, definitely do so now, but you can see that picture, and it was totally worth it. The hotel location was great too because it was about a block away from the one place everyone who visits NYC wants to go. Pretty soon it was time to go. We were only in the city for like 12 hours. We got there at like 4 a.m., stayed until about 3 or 4 the next day. So not a very long time, but a great trip. And the important thing to note is, how did the McLaren perform? And I'm happy to report that it performed amazingly. This car, you can definitely daily drive in the city. I mean, it's not, you know, the car wants to be driven. It's a car that clearly is not meant for stop and go traffic, but it behaved very nicely. The transmission was not jerky. It was not harsh and unforgiving. It was very, very easy to drive. It's a relatively small car. It is kind of wide, but it fits in New York City pretty well. The people loved it. And overall, people were pretty mindful of it. Like, nobody got, you know, taxi cabs and everything are like fucking this close together. I mean, hell, half the time you see taxis rubbing against each other and they just don't care. That's like a thing in New York. You see cars with the big bumper guard on them so that when they get run into, because they know they're going to get run into, it's not going to damage the car. And, you know, that part definitely made me nervous because I knew all this shit going into it. I knew that New York City is not the best place for a car like this, but I wanted to really test it. You know, I wanted to show you guys that's what I want to do with this vehicle, the whole video series I'm going to make on it. Not really video series, but every vlog I make on it. I want to show you what it's like to live with the car, really live with it, and not be afraid to do anything and everything and share that experience with the YouTube world. Also, it helps to give you peace of mind when your car is expelled like mine is, so you can, you know, do shit to it and it's not going to hurt it. Again, every car you buy, if you care about it, I do recommend XPEL. No, I'm not sponsored by them, but XPEL is just really fucking cool, and I've had their product on every one of my vehicles, and it definitely helps. You take your car to the city, and you know you don't have to worry about people rubbing it with their jeans and whatnot, and people touching it and that kind of shit. So that also kind of helps to, if you want to take your car everywhere, I recommend getting that protection. When it comes to traveling, you want to hear about luggage capacity, and the McLaren does really well. If you are traveling with a girl, of course, you know they like to bring everything they own, and this car handled it great. You know, you can fit a lot in there, much more space than a Huracan or an R8. Not as much as a Corvette, of course, but definitely really good. Better than I thought. You know, the McLaren continues to impress me with everything I do to it. I didn't really know a whole lot, to be honest, about this car when I bought it. I knew that it was a McLaren. I loved the paint color. The doors went up. I was sold. But this car is faster than a Huracan, faster than an R8, a V10 Plus, faster than a 488. You can look up videos if you don't believe me. And to top it all off, it's cheaper than its competition as well. So the McLaren is just an awesome vehicle, and I love it more and more every day. Usually we start with a mail time, but this time we're going to do things a little bit different. We are going to end the video with a mail time. This is from Boulevard Los Angeles Incorporated in Orange, California. Another box inside of a bigger box and a postcard that says, from Jay Cunningham on YouTube, we are pleased that you have chosen blvdlpf.com for your license plate frame. Oh, it's a license plate frame. Oh, check that out. Look, it's a custom license plate frame that says, can you guess what it says? Street Speed 717 on it. That is fucking awesome. Thank you, what was it, Jay Cunningham on YouTube? I think that's his YouTube name. Check him out. Jay Cunningham, thank you so much. Street Speed 717, and it's even carbon fiber. That is fucking cool. Should we replace the carbon fiber McLaren Philly plate with the carbon fiber SS 717 plate? Or maybe put the 717 plate on the Vet since it is yellow after all. Either one would look good. Thank you again. That's really cool. So with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this upload, and thank you for joining me on my little trip to New York City with the McLaren. If you did enjoy, give it a big thumbs up. If you are stopping in for the first time, please subscribe. Take care. Have a great day.